Oh, yeah, once again it's on. And to paraphrase a wise man from the hood, from the deep down south, such as your boy here, it's the weekend, baby. Welcome to another weekly wrap. Apologies for missing you guys last week. Was having a bit of issues here with StreamYard, but your boy here is back. And once again, town folks, it is on. So tonight we're gonna it's a lot of news to cover. I mean a whole lot of news. Left I mean Xbox has just been dropping news just left and right, and they've just been having cover fire support from the good folks at AMD, and surprising amount of support fire coming from, of all people, Ubisoft. It's been pretty interesting. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into it. I might be a little short on panel members tonight, but it's all good. We're gonna try to keep this short and sweet. So, as everybody already aware of, earlier this week, Xbox, and not just Xbox, but also AMD themselves have tweeted out that the Xbox Series X and S are the only two gaming consoles on the market that are full. I will reiterate, full RDNA 2 systems, not RDNA 2 based, where they borrowed a few items and Frankensteined other things in, but they have the complete full just rigmarole of everything. So that means that we're looking at a full flat out future proofed setup that should pretty much withstand the test of time for the next, I want to say, 10 to 12 years. I know that the normal rotation of hardware is usually 7 years, but I believe that we're looking at hardware that's probably going to last us, even beyond 7 years. So that was actually some pretty good news. And the one thing that kind of troubles me is the fact that we still have those in the other camp. And forget that. Not just over in the other camp, but also here, on this side of the fence as well, who seem to be in so much disbelief with this, that they're struggling hard to process it and come to terms with it. So I'll put it to you like this, to be fair about it, who knows? Maybe this will, maybe this won't, affect the outcome of how the games look, because one thing about us Xbox folks is we'll applaud, we'll give clap, to, like, the hard efforts of Sony's devs, how they push the hell out of those damn systems, and literally have them like on the torture rack screaming bloody murder to eke out every single bit of power they can from it. And that's what it's looking like is going to be happening this time. So that brings us to the next topic, whereas once we I believe a lot of people have been already discussing this before. Not even weeks, but I think over a month ago, where AMD had a big event planned. Now, they did have a show over a month, well, yeah, about a month ago. They did have a show where they were talking about the RDNA 2 architecture, and Xbox and PlayStation 5 were mentioned, but they really didn't go into depth with it. So people like myself were kind of we're kind of like under the speculation that, okay, maybe all this little hush hush and embargo stuff that is holding Xbox back from giving us the news like they did, the other day about the RDNA 2 stuff. Maybe this is what they're waiting on to go ahead and let all this news out. Apparently, that wasn't the show. So the reason a lot of people were stating that a lot of the reasons as to why we haven't been seeing full out Xbox Series X and Series S gameplay is because of embargoes in place by AMD. I don't know how true that was, but it was kind of funny, seeing, just nothing but backwards compatibility titles. But at the same time, we did see cross-gen titles such as Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Dirt 5 running on the Series S. And then later on, just over a week ago, we're seeing them run on the Series X. So, like I said, I don't know how true that embargo rumor was, but apparently once AMD had their show, their second event the other day, where they actually showed like gameplay with running on their new cards and stuff. Now all of a sudden we're getting all this information about, oh yeah, they're the only two systems that can do RDNA 2, and we got variable rate shading and all this stuff like that. And I mean they really, it wasn't just Microsoft that did it. I mean, it was AMD's follow-up. They just really just put the boot down, where it's like, no, these are the only two that are full RDNA 2. There was no mention of PlayStation whatsoever. So this isn't like me over here cabbage patching doing a victory dance about that. This, one of those things where it's like, man, we're gonna have to see how this plays out for them. Because, like I said, one thing we got to give to Sony's devs is once they figure out the hardware, they will bleed the hell out of it. They will stab that pig and they will wait there all night waiting for it to bleed everything out before they get ready to sauce that meat up. And that's been the way they worked excuse me, for well over a decade. But the question that I have for everybody is, how long can we expect this to keep for this to keep working? There's having these new advances that AMD brings to the table in the Xboxes and everything. This is stuff that, if developers put the effort into it, is meant to actually kind of help make development a little bit more easier. And not so much as like make it easier, but also help better optimize and improve the performance of the games. And this kind of like this brings up the next, kind of like, my next little worry about it is that now this falls in the hands of the third parties, because we already know the first parties are going to rock. And for everybody that keeps going on and on about like, oh well, the Series X and S are going to be the best place for third parties. Y'all need to cut that shit. Y'all need to stop that. Come on, I'm calling it out. I'm calling it out. That mentality that y'all have had all this generation is done. It's time to kill it now. It's time to kill that noise. Because you're gonna honestly sit there with 23 studios, and among them 23, no longer 15, now 23 studios, and among those studios, there's games y'all want to play. And that's right, I'm talking about the Bethesda and the Obsidian and the Rares. And no, these games are not coming to any other platform. Unfortunately, I don't think they're coming to the Switch either. So hang that up. xCloud on the Switch. Yeah, I know they're tampering with cloud gaming over there now. Got Control and Hitman running on there and stuff like that. The thing about it is that I don't think Nintendo themselves, their higher ups, are going to want to play ball that way, because that interferes with their own model. That doesn't exactly help them per se, especially when they're trying to market stuff themselves. Now, the best place. So, like I said, this best place for third parties, that's going to have to die because with 23 something studios, and each one of these studios, y'all know damn well has something each of y'all want to play. No, no, it is more than ever. Now everybody's going to really have to kind of like really give a close look as to where they want to start enjoying exclusives, because the exclusives over there for Sony right now, you just got your single player over the shoulder, heavy narrative driven stories. If that's what works for you, then that's what works for you. But this coming generation with the Series X and S, I don't think it's going to just be them anymore that has that. On our side of the camp, it was Gears 5. And Gear 6 is coming in tow, and we done saw how awesome Gears 5 looks after getting the Series X and S treatment. So there's your first party right there. And it won't be just it won't be just Gears alone. And speaking on third parties anyway, I'm wondering how many of y'all actually got to sit down and check out Watch Dogs Legion. That was another shocker. I mean, we've all seen gameplay of it uh weeks ago, but I believe that was just running on older hardware. I don't think any of that was actually running on anything next gen. And I mean, it looked all right and stuff like that. And I did see like a few little ads where they were showing like brief glimpses of the ray tracing. So I guess that was running on hardware equivalent to next gen. But what they dropped today, and you can actually look it up here on YouTube just search Watch Dogs Legions Xbox, and man, dude, even if it was 30 frames per second, that rate, I mean, thanks to the variable rate shading, which is a feature that Sony has yet to have confirmed them having an answer for, because that is a RDNA 2 specific feature. And from what I understand, Series X and S are the only ones that have it built in. It ain't coded in. In other words, you had some coders come in and make a specific library for it and all that stuff like that. No, it ain't Mickey Moused in. It was built in at the hardware level. They stated that thanks to that variable rate shading, as well as the direct storage API, which, oh, hey, it's funny, that actually kind of works almost close to the same way as what they're trying to do with Kraken, or rather, it's the other way around. Whereas basically the whole idea is to funnel the graphical assets, in other words, the textures, directly into the GPU. They're saying the developers at Ubisoft for Watch Dogs Legions are actually stating that thanks to direct storage API and variable rate shading, they're able to run the game at a locked 30 frames per second. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of like wondering, like, oh, 30 frames per second. Oh man, dude, that's nothing, man. That's so last gen. I mean, that's nothing. Now, here's the thing though. any of you out there that happen to have any of these newer cards that are capable of ray tracing, such as a 3080 or a 3090, I want y'all to go ahead and crank those cards up. Go and turn them computers on. Well, I'd imagine they probably are on if you're watching me now. Go ahead and I want to say go ahead and run a game with ray tracing and run it at 4K and see if you can maintain 30 frames per second. It's not exactly an easy feat to do. So the fact of the matter of the Series X being able to run Watch Dogs Legion at a locked 30 frames at 4K, full native 4K, is already astounding within itself, and that is already the telling signs of the effects of having full-blown RDNA 2. Now, they have yet to have told us what the Series X is going to be, S is going to be clocking in at. So we'll have to see. Yeah, so yeah, sorry about that. For some reason my mic kind of froze up. So yeah, like I said, I can only speculate that the Series S will probably be somewhere around maybe 1080p, probably the same thing, frames with RTX. From what I understand, for those of you who are very, who are more concerned about having the higher frames, there is supposed to be a performance mode that's going to keep the 4K, clock it up to 60 frames, but it's going to remove the ray tracing. But like I said, I know, like I said, I don't know what more specifics are for that, but that's what they are probably looking at. We'll have to wait further word to see, because to me, I'm just thinking that, well, in actuality, maybe they could just lower the resolution if they really wanted to keep that ray tracing, or at least allow that option. What they probably could do is probably um lower the resolution to say like 1440, or hell, maybe lowered it to 1080. So in the end, we'll have to see. But so far, the stuff coming from Ubisoft is looking much better than it was well over well over a month ago. And all of a sudden, what was all of a sudden being called a weak launch lineup for the Series X and S is not looking so weak anymore now. First party wise, yeah, it is what it is. But Gears Tactics is something. That's something to bite into if you're really that hard up about a first party title. Hell, I'm thinking about trying it out myself, because it will be on Game Pass. And speaking of Game Pass, we still, it is now coming close to the end of 2020. Game Pass has been out rocking like a champ ever since 2018. And here we still have people shitting on it. It's almost like we're dealing with people who are like, sitting there with these notes on a board with the strings connected to it, where they are determined, they are hard pressed to find any and everything wrong with Game Pass. Even after countless developers and publishers have came out stating that, hey, this is actually a pretty good deal. We've actually, had the most success we've had than, just selling them the old fashioned way, the games the old fashioned way. Now, I'm going to admit there's going to be, this, it's still to this day to where there could be some with more, different results. and there could be gamers with more mixed reactions. But I guess what bothers me the most is seeing people that just constantly just shit on it and they don't really even know what the hell it is. Because that's exactly what the media was doing when Game Pass first came about, was they were shitting on it because they couldn't make sense of it. They couldn't, that their brains couldn't lock in and fathom as to what this was and how could this be such an awesome deal, giving us all these games for what? $9.99 a month? Wait a minute. You're saying for $15 a month, you're gonna let us get these games, and we can just say to hell to gold because gold is built into it, into this Game Pass Ultimate? No, 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 man. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. Y'all trying to trick us. We're talking about all the way from 2018 up to now to 2020. We still have people popping this shit out the side of their mouth. I mean, I've kind of came to a point where after I done kind of like spoke to one person in the comment section of another person's video, who, as you can guess, I mean, his comments started off just from, just completely shitting down on the whole RDNA 2 thing. I tried to, like, level with him and explain. I was like, look, I mean, dude, if this really was such as bad as a deal as you're making it sound, why haven't we heard anything from the media? And you got to think about this. You got to remember, the media is the first ones to, like, flies on shit. They'll jump on anything bad about Microsoft and get it out there as fast as they can, like Ebola. They won't waste a fucking second. So if there really was that shitty of a deal going on with Game Pass, I think we would have already been introduced to it by now. Because the thing about it is that it isn't so much of a thing that everybody can't understand Game Pass. It's the thing that they fucking hate it. Just like what's going on with Xbox right now, they fucking hate it. Because it is bringing about something that everybody is scared of, and that is change. Change that it's time for, but at the same time, they're not ready for. It's kind of like the same situation with 2013's launch with Don Matrick at the head. It's funny because, shout out to E-Rock, he brought this up, numerous times as well. That the things that Matrick was trying to push, if you really look around and you think about it, we're kind of doing them already. But it's amazing. None of us realized it. It slowly went over to that. And that's only because he represented a forced change that nobody was ready for. Now, does that still excuse a lot of the bullshit that he was doing and pushing? No, it damn sure does not. Which brings me into my next thing, which is like PlayStation fans, speaking to you as one gamer to another. I'm not gonna go calling y'all, ponies and all this stuff like that. I try to, like, steer away from that stuff. But a lot of y'all really have me fucking just over here, just just stroking my fucking temples, because I'm like wondering what the fuck is going on. We here at Xbox had no trouble whatsoever when they fucked up. We conceded defeat. We accepted that we lost. We gave you the crown. We were mature enough to fucking realize that, okay, we got problems here and we need to fix them. And instead of coming to y'all about it, fucking with y'all community, fucking with y'all gaming, we hit the fucking streets and we brought it to Xbox. And when Phil took over, Phil listened. That enacted change. change that went for the better. Yeah, there's still some mixed reactions on some things, but overall, look at how much better Xbox is. Not once, but twice we have the hardware advantage. We got the network and infrastructure advantage. We got the best deal, Game Pass. We got that advantage. All this was because we stood up and we spoke. Now we wasn't just savages and off the fucking rooftop assholes about it. No, but we were very vocal and we were very forward about what needed to happen. Now, my only thing with y'all over on the PlayStation side is what's going on that you guys can't seem to do that for what's happening right now. And you can't sit there saying that you don't see the trouble. You can't say you don't see that. There's a thing about being there's a difference between being a a fan and a follower. Followers, you usually can, kind of, I understand in social media the term of follower usually, relates to, somebody who's a fan of your stuff and therefore they're following you. But a follower is actually, I guess you say for a more broader definition is someone who blindly follows somebody who's leading. They don't ask questions. They don't care about where they're going. They don't care about what the head is doing. They just follow. But a true fan will actually have constructive criticism about what things they feel they would like to see. Like, hey, I really like these these third person narrative games, but it sure would be nice to be able to do a little bit of online play and kind of build out our community a little bit more. Why are y'all so ashamed to go ahead and speak your minds about your concerns with how the head of the PlayStation group is running things? There's nothing shameful about that. And to me, it would be a better use of your energy rather than coming over to this side of the fence, shitting in our fucking our water supply. I've said it many times before in many of these podcasts is that my fellow Xboxers, you're wasting your time. There's no point getting in it with a lot of these guys because sooner or later they're gonna have to wake up. You can sit there all day pointing out, oh, look at Miles Morales. There's ray tracing there. Yes, it is ray tracing. But is it full path ray tracing? The end of the day, the story, the end of the story is going to have to be revealed. And you got no choice but to open that book, turn that page and read it. The troubles that you guys are going to experience starting here on out going in the next gen, you're going to have no choice but to face those troubles. And for those of you that keep going around trying to redirect and change up the narrative over and over again to one thing and something else. Oh, they still using batteries. Oh, they're not full RDNA. Oh, they got a heating problem. Oh, look at our SSD. Look how fast it is. Each one of these narratives y'all keep coming with keeps getting destroyed, making you look more and more foolish. Now, for my time in the military, and my time as an NCOIC, non-commissioned officer in charge of my section, there's training. There was all these training um periods that you will have regarding leadership, and a lot of that usually like went with being able to like assess at a psychological level, assess your troops under you. And when you come across ones where instead of focusing on what they see is wrong and trying to use their energies to fix it, and owning up owning up to when they fucked up, owning up to when they see shit that's fucked up, they spend all that energy, and I mean exhaustive amounts of energy, pointing fingers. Oh, well, Private Jones, he, look at his boots. I mean, his boots are messed up too. I'm not looking at Jones's boots. I'm looking at your boots. What happened to your boots, Miller? You get what I'm saying? That's the situation I'm seeing here. Yeah, I know y'all not soldiers, but I'm just saying. That's the situation I'm fucking seeing. Instead of worrying about the situation over in your camp, hey, hey, Mr. Ryan, we're sending you a tweet because we're wondering about what's the deal with us not having full RDNA 2. Oh, hey, we kind of noticed that in that Spider-Man remaster for the PlayStation 5, there's a lot of objects that were missing. It's supposed to be ray traced, but there's objects missing. Can you tell us more about that? Sony knows what they're doing. Hold on a second. Somebody's trying to call me. Okay. I apologize for that. If y'all heard that ringing sound and wondered why I might have clicked out just now, that's one of my old army buddies. But yeah. So I can say this until I'm blue in the face. And the thing is that it's going to take some of you, maybe not all of you, but some of you, to start making the first step forward and admitting the first thing that something is wrong. And y'all are going to have to do this together as a community. I mean, I tell you no lies. The best example of what I'm telling you, I can attest to because I've witnessed it firsthand with the Xbox community. If you can go a few videos back when I started doing this, and I'll be the first to tell you, at first, I was not an Xbox fan. I was a hardcore Sega fan. I wasn't exactly pro Windows, and I had very mixed feelings about Sega getting in bed with Microsoft, dealing with Bill Gates. And for the longest time, when Sega folded, I placed a lot of the blame on Microsoft bailing on them. And it took me having to accept that something was wrong from the get-go, which I already knew. When the Saturn launched, something was wrong. But nope. Being the fanboy I was, I wouldn't accept it because I loved Sega's IPs, which are still fucking slamming to this day. And when the Dreamcast came, oh god, yes, that was just I was one of the first ones to go pick mine up. I paid for mines a whole month out in advance so that when everybody was coming out of the mall, going wrapping around the block, and this is when we still had Babbages. I walked past all them jokers, just mean mugging, pissed off, talking shit. Hey, where you going? Like, I'm going to go get my Dreamcast. Well, the line's back there. No, homie. Unlike you peasants, I paid for mine. Ha ha ha. And I mean, it was one of my most proudest gaming moments. Well, not calling a dude peasant, but going and picking that, just being the first person to grab that thing, even though the worker behind the register was trying to fucking shaft me. But thank God I had a friend that worked there, and we was able to straighten that out. Now the Dreamcast was barely out for maybe what, just maybe like two, two or so years, and all of a sudden, the next issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly, Xbox is leaving the hardware business. That was so soul crushing. Now, later on, I've, got the full details of the story as to what led to them folding, but I'm not going to get into that because I done, kind of like sidetracked enough. But the fact of the matter is that it wasn't something that was, I guess you say, like, just right there and available to do for that time period. But forums did exist. And I don't know if Sega maybe was a little bit more, open to reading some of those community, those forums, and popping in, just popping in on some of their communities to kind of like get a better gauge of their marketing. Maybe there's some things that could have changed and did a little bit better. But the ultimate thing that did them in, that probably wouldn't have made too much of a difference in the end. But like I said, I'm not going to get into that. And for those of you that are watching, you probably know what I mean. for some of you. But this goes back to what I'm saying about the situation with Sony. There's trouble on the waters right now. And I'm trying not to come off like a concern troll. I really am. But look, for everything that is wrong, instead of attacking us, PlayStation fans, look, take this to Twitter and just hit up Ryan, Cerny, hit up their accounts. Just be like, hey, look, we're losing on power. What's going on here? Hey, this Bethesda deal. What do what's your guys' answers? Now, we can't just go off of what the media says. Oh, Ryan gave his thoughts about the Bethesda thing, and he doesn't think it's profitable. He doesn't think it's smart. Okay, all right, cool. Of course, that's just him being salty. But all I got to say is that all of you have got to face the facts. You got to stop trying to redirect and avert your eyes to the facts. Like when somebody says, "Oh, hey, Xbox is RDNA 2, full RDNA 2," you can't sit there being like, "Oh, but the SSD and the PlayStation." No, no, that's redirecting. That's averting your eyes. And what we call that back in the military, we call that cowardice. We call that being a coward. As bold and brave as a lot of y'all like to think you are, then maybe what you probably should consider doing is being bold and brave and facing up to your Sony overlords and saying, "Hey, look, we're having some concerns here. Trust me on this. It will be for the better. Your brand of choice will be for the better." Because all the energy that you're exhausting on fucking with us over here, has it fixed your power narrative and put it back in Sony's hands? No. That narrative of the load times and the speeds, yeah, I mean, did it fix that? I don't think so. I mean, it's still a ways off before we see between the two. But looking at Bugsnax the other night, and God only asked me why, there's still loading screens. This is supposed to be running on PlayStation 5. But this thing has a loading screen, and when they were going from one area into the next area, this was like 10 to 12 seconds. So I mean that's still fast, and I'm not complaining about that. But it's the fact that the way that they propped this up, and a lot of you propped it up, you was making it sound where it's like it would be like a blink of an eye. Don't blink. You're gonna already be in the next level. I don't know, man. I mean, I had some pretty dry eyes, and I blinked about a good 5 or 7 times, and I'm still looking at that damn loading screen. So this kind of almost sounds exactly something like something I've been saying before. Whereas I don't think we're going to really mind the differences between the loading on both systems. Because at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. The only difference maker is going to be the third party developers. And just like the case with Watchdog Legions with Ubisoft, is going to come down to if those developers bother to take the time to tie things in with direct storage, add in the variable rate shading, tie everything into with into a velocity, make use of the ray tracing cores. It's going to fall upon them if they feel like it. And don't worry, it's going to be the same for y'all over there too, with your adaptive triggers. And throughout all the little unboxing, I guess enough of the embargo lifted up for some of these YouTubers to go ahead and try out the PlayStation 5's controller and everything. You probably asked a question like, "Well, gee, boss, why aren't you clapping for that? Why aren't you happy for that?" Um, be honest with you, man. You're looking at somebody before I got into Xbox. After I left, once Sega folded, I had no other options of where to go. I mean, I had a PlayStation, and I loved the hell out of JRPGs, and that's practically all I was really playing on it. But eventually, I started kind of like just pulling away from it. Um, God, it's been so long ago. I can't remember exactly what was bothering me, but I just know that a lot of their practices were really just bothering me a lot. So I've drifted into the camp of Nintendo, and I wasn't really big into Nintendo. I mean, I still had an NES and an SNES growing up, but I was always hardcore Sega. So I enjoyed Nintendo for a while, all the way up to the DS, the dual screen. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because a good bit of the things that Sony's doing with the dual sense, this is shades of Nintendo, because a lot of this is stuff Nintendo. I mean, minus the adopted triggers, I'll admit. This is their territory when they do a lot of gimmicky stuff that may be revolutionary, but at the same time, you have to ask the question of this. Is it evolutionary? There's a line between that. Revolutionary does break grounds and tries to catapult things forward into whole new areas. But evolutionary breaks ground as well, but it looks to elevate and strengthen what has already been established and what works. So that's why I don't shit on either platform's choice of how they went about their controllers. But the thing about being revolutionary is when you're talking about when you're talking about bleeding edge. And the one thing about bleeding edge stuff, be it software and hardware, is that if you're not careful, it can cut you. And I've only seen one Sony fan, and I've seen him in many places before, so he's pretty hardcore Sony. But he's the only one I've seen actually stood up and say, "Yeah, this is all well and good, but I'm a little concerned about the battery life because of all this." And will there be cases if there's a bug in the game where I can't use the trigger because all of a sudden the motor that's holding it in place is locking it? I personally, I don't think that will happen. I mean, I would like to think through enough, testing, they should be able to uncover anything like that. And even if they do, they'll be able to patch it. But the reason I brought up Nintendo is because when it comes to a lot of the gimmicks that they pull, that they do, like blowing into controllers, for example, yeah, Sony ain't innovative there, buddy. I want to ask y'all the question of when you first seen a Nintendo device where you blew into the controllers. Ask me. I want to ask y'all how many games y'all seen make use of that, and for how long did that last? Not very long, and not very many titles. As far as I'm aware, I think I can only remember two titles, WarioWare being one of them, that made use of that blowing feature. And the same thing with the 3DS. The only game I can remember making use of it was freaking WarioWare. So that's why I say when it comes to the third parties, they they might dabble a bit with the adaptive triggers, but to be realistic, and this is me also speaking as a former developer myself, is that when you're dealing with a schedule and you're dealing with more than one platform that you have to ship to, you have to prioritize where all your time and your energy, has to go into. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, the most valuable resource is human time. Because once it's lost, you never get it. You can't get it back. So it has to be spent wisely. Now we're all looking at and barking about all these delays here and there, like with with like, like everybody's favorite little whipping toy, Halo. And now we got the delays, well, another delay with Cyberpunk. And when you're dealing with big projects like this, no matter how many years are sunk into it, you still have to be wise of how you prioritize your time. And it sounds simple, when you're like, when you're on the outside looking in, it sounds simple. Oh, all they got to do is just plug this code in and that code in and make the trigger do this and that. It's like, no, dude, that takes time. And then the coders have to sit there and they have to adjust it because these triggers are adjustable. At least the tension levels are adjustable. They got to adjust that. And then they have to turn around and sink in over 100 hours of time of play testing that. And not just play testing one level, they got to go through all the levels. They have to try it under all conditions. How does it happen when I'm being attacked by this enemy? How does it happen when I grab this item? How does, what happens when I rotate the camera around and I'm trying to like squeeze the trigger? They have to test all that. That takes hundreds of hours. And the thing is that even despite all that testing, there's still going to be situations where there might have been something that they missed. And that's when we, the gamers, come across bugs or the bugs ourselves. And then next thing you know, they have to toss out a hot fix and patch it. That takes time. And the thing about it is, for a lot of these third parties, that takes time that they could invest in putting putting into other projects. So as far as I'm concerned, there's really no third party wise, there's no advantage for either one over there. I mean, for either one. The only real advantage I'll see with the Xbox is the fact that all the stuff to make the games look better is hardwired in there. Whereas right out the gate, such as, the auto HDR and everything, it's already keyed to work. The direct storage, though, they have to take the time with that. Same with the ray tracing. They have to take the time with it. So to be fair, we'll have to see how that plays out. But going into my last topic, and that's regarding the situation with threats towards developers. And also, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there too, as far as goes for threatening YouTubers. Look, I know a lot of us don't see eye to eye and don't agree with a lot of things that each other says. Now, unless the person is calling you out and talking shit about your mama, talking about your family goldfish or something like that, it's like, look, everybody's entitled to their own opinion and their own thoughts. All right. This is in regards to like YouTubers. Now, there's a YouTuber on here that has been, apparently, from what I'm seeing, has been getting death threats. Dude, I'll be honest with you, I don't give a fuck. I really don't fucking care for him. All right. I ain't saying he's a piece of shit. I feel that a lot of his views and his thinking, as far as gaming goes, is shitty. But here's the thing, it's his views, and I have to respect that. I am entitled to, I guess, contest those views. But if I contest them, at least be more sensible, be more logical, be more open minded. Because maybe there's a reason he has those views. Just the same as like with the people that I mentioned that were talking shit about. Hey, what's going on, Messiah? Thanks for joining me. So, but yeah, so it's cool to have different views. And as I was saying about the person I was, having my conversation with about why he was shitting so hard on Game Pass, maybe there's a reason. Who knows? To me, it's like if you're going to shit on something, there's got to be a reason. So I'm going to pick your brain. I'm going to ask. I'm going to see maybe there's something I missed. Maybe there's something I overlooked. Everybody is guilty every once in a while of having their head so far up the fucking fourth point of contact that they miss something. That's what constructive criticism is about. Don't just sit there talking shit and talking about this wrong, this suck, that suck. Tell us why. Explain it. Extrapolate. But don't go threatening. Don't go like, insulting and stuff like that. And as I was saying about this YouTuber in question, yeah, I don't fucking care for his views, but I respect them. But not once have I sent this dude a death threat. Not once have I called him out his name. Not once. Now, his first thing, which I did, calmly, constructively suggest was, well, look, um, the ones that you think that are doing this to you, all right, first off, why not change the title of your video? Because that is a very fucked up blanketed statement of saying that all Xbox fans are fucking complete savages, just unbridled fucking barbarians that have no fucking tact. That's not true, because one of the pulls of me coming to the Xbox side when I left from Nintendo and everything, which I will admit, when I first came to Xbox, yeah, online, live was some fucking savages. The community was fucking unhinged. I don't know what happened exactly. I admit I did, put a few tickets in myself, but that shit almost cleaned up over fucking night. Yeah. Eventually broken. They're gonna have to see, whether they like it or not. Because I don't know about you, but I don't exactly have $70 to keep plopping down on each and every game. But yeah, as I was saying, the community got cleaned up overnight. That only happens when you're dealing with a company that actually takes some stock in the constructive criticism and the feedback from their user base. So that's what drew me in to the Xbox side and kept me there. The games came second, because matter of fact, that was actually one of the things that more or less deterred me from, away from PlayStation, was how toxic the community was. So just as I told this YouTuber that's being attacked, I was like, dude, I was like, I'm not going to tell you that it's not Xbox guys, but I will say this: it's it's almost unlikely. And this even goes even for those being attacked over on the PlayStations. I mean, um, on the Windows. I mean, I'm sorry, the Xbox side. A lot of times, from what I've discovered from my own experiences, is these are people who are actually just fucking console war trolls. They don't really even have a preference. They just do this to stir up shit because they love to stir up the fucking console war narrative. And sometimes, you know, you just have to kind of like learn to open your eyes and just look around you and just start, you know, kind of like putting things together. Use common sense and deductive reasoning. And common sense wise, I called him out saying, you shouldn't have made that statement of Xbox fans stop attacking me. Well, it was Xbox fans / Griffin fans stop attacking me. Dude, not all Xbox fans are Griffin fans. And the thing about it is that not all Griffin fans are Xbox fans. So, like I said, it's highly unlikely that it was Xbox fans attacking him. These are most likely people who are looking to stir up trouble. They probably had beef with him because he's more a PC guy rather than a console guy. Period. But every chance he has, he will shit on Xbox. That's where I had conflicting views with them. But the thing about it is, instead of getting into it with the dude, I just leave my dislike back away. Now this goes into now we're segueing away from that into the thing about developers being threatened. As a developer myself, you have enough stress to deal with as it is already, and not so much as with the project you're working on, not just with your game, with your title, but also with your own life, with your real life. You know, you could be somebody who's having issues at home, you know, dealing with a lot of stress with your family. You know, you probably might be somebody who's dealing with stress with those around you, with your peers. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Broken. I mean, I don't know what the I don't know. I mean, this is not the first time, and sadly, I don't think it'll be the last time that we come across stuff like this. Because I mean, hell, I mean, we saw the voice actors being from The Last of Us 2 being threatened, and these are just voice actors. Well, I mean, dude, what the fuck they have to do with the development or anything? So, but the thing about it is what I'm is basically to bring it on home and hit where I'm coming from is that threatening these people is not. I mean, it's cool to be mad. It's good to be. It's good to have a little disdain. I mean, it's human. You're only human. Yeah, true, true. But but the thing is, being upset and mad about something, that's understandable. That shows you're alive. It's human. Now, here's the thing though. How mature are you enough in your thinking and in your thought process to direct that anger or frustrations in a more constructive manner? This is where I say there's a stark difference. And I know there's those who are going to dislike me and argue with it, but, and I'm not saying it's all fans on both sides of the fence, but this is where there's the stark difference between the Xbox fans and the PlayStation fans. The greater majority, as far as I've observed, for pretty much the past, God, like 2 decades of being being Xbox person, I don't see them doing a lot of the stuff I see a lot of the PlayStation guys do. Attacking other people's posts. The only thing I've seen is when they had to correct something that was complete FUD and misinformation, which is actually what's been happening ever, with the merging of the Series X and S and the PlayStation 5. is a lot of misinformation has to be addressed. Now, personally, I've gotten now to where I just really don't bother unless somebody is outright honestly asking a question about something, and somebody pops in like, "Oh yeah, don't mess with that. It's trash." I'll kindly jump in and I'll be like, "Well, look, this is to answer your question. This is this. This is that." Oh, okay, thanks. You don't need to mess with that. It's trash. So, like I said, like I was saying, it's cool to be upset and mad. But here's the thing, though. It's more constructive and productive of your energies to just simply just go into a post, send out a tweet, and be like, well, look, we have grievances about this. Well, we have concerns about this. But doing things like I'm gonna track your fiance down and tie her up by her ankles with tube socks and 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 have my dog like lick her up and down like a lollipop. I mean, I mean, come on, man. Y'all don't need to do all that. It could be that too, broken. Not, and y'all saw that. Y'all saw that. Two different views. But do you see me calling broken out of their name? Do you see me saying, "Oh, you fanboy"? You don't see me doing that. Everybody can have a difference of opinion because the thing is that what broken is saying could be something that might trigger me to look deeper into it myself, which opens the path to more information, more enlightenment. But as I was saying, threatening developers, that's not going to get you what you want. That's not going to speed up the development of the project. That's not going to change it to what you want it to be. Just like I told many people before, if you don't like what the direction something is going or where or how gaming is, then pick up, hit up Google, find some tutorials, and look to try your hand at development yourself. Yeah, it's not fucking easy. I ain't gonna fucking lie to you about that. It is not fucking easy. I may say I'm a developer, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna keep it a buck with all of you. I am more on the lines of what you would call a idea guy, but I'm not just the idea guy. I'm also the concepts and writer as well, because I'm also an illustrator and a graphic artist. So yeah, you can't just come in like I got an idea. That's not how it works. You got to bring something to the table that no one else is bringing. But either way you come at it, there's going to be challenge. There's going to be a little bit of difficulty. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat that shit. And it pisses me off when I look at a lot of developer diaries, and they're just having a good time, laughing with each other, and you know playing, like eating donuts. That's not how it works. It's a lot of mind bending, back breaking work because a lot of stuff that you're doing is problem solving. So if you don't like the way things are, think about what I just said. Those developers are going through all of that type of stuff, and because they're much bigger developers, bigger studios, they're going through way more than what I dealt with. And it gets even more uglier when you got investors to deal with. And dude, investors don't know a damn thing about gaming. A lot of them are investors because they're in the investment game. They're there to make money. They gives a damn about your creative vision. They gives two rosy red fucks about how what narrative or story you're trying to drive or what your agenda is. They don't care. They are there to make money. So these developers have to deal with all that stuff. Then when they get off the clock, go home, wifey or husbandy or the kids climbing all over them, fussing at them. Well, this bill is late. Or did you pay Ricky's cell phone bill? They got to deal with all this stuff. No different than you and me. But when you go to threaten them, that does not make things easier for them. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, that actually makes developers want to quit. That actually makes them want to walk away. Because the one thing about too much stress is it will make you break. And when you break, there's no telling what the hell you're going to do. Me personally, when I break, dude, I just fucking push away from the table, about face, and I'll walk off. Now, as far along as Cyberpunk is, I don't think that's something that we would like to see them just say, you know what? Fuck it. Close the shit out. Hey, Broken, it's funny because the same thing could even be said about Scorn. So it's actually it's funny because when people started wondering why ever since the the June event, not June event, I mean the May event, that we haven't heard anything else about the game, a lot of questions started coming up. One thing I've noticed about Epsoft, about that developer, which is they've been kind of a concern to me, is because ever since Scorn is not new. Scorn is actually pretty old. They started development on that, I think, ever since God, I think since 2016, and it was actually originally a Kickstarter project, and it has had a lot of starts and stops where they'll make a whole lot of noise and hullabaloo, and they'll up a demo and you won't hear nothing from it for like over a year. And that's kind of like the situation that we're dealing with right now. But now that they were left alone and given the time, that recent showing that we had a few days ago, dude, I don't know if that was 30. I don't know if it was actually running at 30 frames per second, but either way, it blew me the fuck away. When you leave developers alone to do the magic that only they can do, good stuff can come from it. If they have to delay, let them delay. And that even goes with Elden Ring. I think my only real concern with Elden Ring is just that we haven't seen anything other than a CGI. That's my only real grievance with that project, is we just haven't seen anything beyond that CGI trailer. So it would be nice to finally see some gameplay, so I can understand frustrations there. But yeah, no point getting ugly about it. Oh my god. uh mm, I tell you right now, it and see, we're talking about an old Japanese man. I don't think he really even bothers paying social media that much attention, because like I said, he's an older Japanese guy. But at the same time, it's like he's probably had all sorts of threats, being in the business as it is, on his life. But given the age that he's at, he's not going to move any faster. He's going to do what it is that he does, whether you like it or not. because this is motherfucking Miyazaki. He's, yeah, I mean, so that's why I'm saying threats are pointless. And another thing about threats is that, remember the saying about anything and everything you do online stays forever? Well, there's people who keep receipts. So don't be surprised if they cash in those receipts and you have law enforcement banging on your door. Because when you're talking about threatening somebody, whether you mean it or not, whether you're just intending just to crack the whip and get them going the way you want them to go, it's not going to work out the way you expect it, and it's going to backfire. Because a threat on somebody's life, even if you haven't physically even touched them, is still a threat upon their life. And there's people out there that take that very seriously. They won't sit there and just, oh, oh, JoJo 513, you wacky fella. I'll see what I can do about it. No, no, dude, you come at this person, JoJo, 13, you're probably gonna be having a man fucking pulling up in your yard. So bottom line, to bring this conversation to the close, is folks, I love gaming as much as the next person. All right. Be you Nintendo gamer, be you PlayStation, my fellow Xboxers. I love you all. And there's times a lot of you can piss me off. And I know there's times I piss a lot of you off. Because I seen the dislikes on one of my vids, so I know I pissed a good bit of people off. But at the same time, threatening each other is not going to get you what you want. Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of, believe it or not, a lot of developers are actually considering taking that approach now. We're in strange times now, thanks to the COVID. So without E3 and Gamescom and all the other stuff like that around, everybody's trying to be as engaging as they can and just constantly keep updates, feeding in to all the viewers. But yeah, there was a time when you wouldn't hear shit for fucking years about anything. Matter of fact, you wouldn't even know anything was coming out until all of a sudden a month before it's getting ready to launch. So I would say enjoy things as they is right now, because if bullshit like this keeps up, as far as a lot of studios and developers are concerned, they could just probably just say, to hell with it, and just pull the plug on just saying anything. But who's to say how detrimental that choice would be in the long run? Because one thing about social media is it's a damn good way to promote and advertise what you're doing. So on that note, that's pretty much about all I had going on. I appreciate those of you that popped in. Thanks for popping in as well, Broken. I really appreciate it. So feel free to leave a like, dislike, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys next Wednesday. Once again, enjoy your weekend and enjoy your gaming. Peace out.